Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Employee Gifting Simplified with CT. It's me, Trey Ross. I'm here with a new good friend of mine, Nurdes, who comes from Miami where it's nice and warm. She doesn't have to have space heaters like I do all the time when we're doing these, but excited to have you here, Nurdes, and excited to hear your take on employee gifting and its place in the workplace and how to motivate, incentivize, retain, and recognize our employees in this unique environment that we find ourselves in 2026 with how fast the world is changing. And I think it's funny because people have probably been saying the world is changing fast for the last 100 years, but I think we have a little bit more benefit of the doubt with AI and all of that type of stuff. So excited to hear from you. So tell us, Nurdes, a little bit about you, where you're at, what you're doing. We're excited to learn from you and get your take on it today.
Thank you, Trey, and thank you for everyone that's listening. It's a pleasure to be here. As Trey shared, Nurdes Gomez, I'm the Director of People Operations at eMed. We're a GLP-1 weight management program based out of Miami, Florida. And I've been in healthcare as well as HR for 17 years now. So it's definitely near and dear to my heart. I've worked on site at hospitals, including Baptist Health South Florida, one of the largest non-for-profits in our region, as well as 2 startups. So the last one, Health System Solutions, and now eMed.
Wow. So what was that like? So just explain a little bit. I talked to a lot of people, but you have such a unique background with working with a traditional healthcare hospital facility that's very rigid, probably is not the best word, of like their processes. And then to jump to a startup, what was that like? What was your experience doing that?
Great point. When I was at Baptist Hospital, they had 5,000 employees, so you're not going to know everyone, right? And rigid is a strong word, but they have to be, right? There's HIPAA and joint commission requirements, but they also have more structure and more ability to support. Like, one of the great benefits Baptist Health has is their pastoral care services. They have on-site different spiritual leaders that are available from multiple denominations that really help the team members, especially during the difficulties of healthcare, because we don't save every patient, unfortunately, and that emotional connection. Also, when you consider startup life, everyone knows everyone and everyone's jumping in to help. And if you're not getting things done, you're 2 days behind, right? So it's much more dynamic. I call it fun. I've been at eMed now for 4.5 years. I was number 77, and I've helped onboard pretty much everyone except 10 people that were here before me that are still here now.
Wow. So, okay. So you got to tell us then. So what's the total employee base? What are we at? If you were number 77, how many are we at now with eMed?
So we've had a lot of growth and transition over the years. We started with COVID testing. We were FDA approved and did cruise lines, airlines, etc. Then we went into urgent care. Then we went into drug testing for a bit. And now we're really restarting the business in the GLP-1 space, utilizing our technical expertise to have that clinically supervised program. So our team base is just about 100 as we've done different transitions. But we also have our UK operations that are quite extensive with 5 clinics.
Wow, that's incredible. So with all of that, you've overseen so many different things. In HR, you've probably had a handful of different roles and responsibilities. And especially in the startup space, you've probably done a lot of non-HR
Yes.
jobs and requirements and stuff. So tell us a little bit about, like, what have you seen with these different positions you've been on? What keeps employees motivated right now in 2026 and 2027 and 2025? Looking forward, looking back, what keeps employees motivated right now?
It's human connection, and it's making real connections. So, for example, I was meeting with a team member today. His wife is getting induced on Sunday. And it's how you react to people and how you treat them. Like, I was wishing him congratulations, like, tell me all the stories, and we chit-chatted for a while. Some HR doesn't do that. And some leaders don't do that. They're like, okay, well, what time do you need off, right? And they just jump into the more practical, tactical things. We're whole people. When you think about it, do you remember birthdays? Do you remember anniversaries? Do you ask about people's kids? Are you checking in on the more emotional aspects? Because people work with people they like and they enjoy. And that's why, the number one indicator of leaving is your supervisor. But it's really the entire team. And what kind of environment and culture are you building? Because we work very hard at eMed. I will always say that. Very, very. But it's the ecosystem we've created and the connection we have. Like, we have breakfast together, we have lunch together, people know each other, and it's real. It's not just a corporate. It's how can we truly help one another to get things done.
I love what you said with just like there is a certain checklist of things that you need to do, like when you were talking to that employee earlier today. But there's a line that we always walk, and I'm not the best at this, but I was just thinking about a message that I sent just this morning for a request, and I was like, hey, can we get this done as soon as possible? And I have a coworker who always hits me up, or whenever they're asking for things, they always say, hey, good morning, or hey, happy Tuesday, or hey, hope you're having a great Thursday. And that's how they'll start, and then they do, it's like, hey, we got to get X, Y, and Z done. And to me, I'm always way more willing, even though it takes 2 seconds, I'm way more willing to respond to this coworker who always leads with like, hey, hope you're having a great day, or happy Tuesday, happy Friday, or asking about my kids, even with just 1 sentence or 2 sentences, versus just, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z before end of day? That was a call out to me, but it's such a simple thing that we can implement right now with all of our interactions going forward with our people to make them feel appreciated, to make them feel like they are seen. Because like you said, I like what you said too with whole people. We have wants and needs and struggles and challenges.
Yes.
I met with somebody a few weeks ago, and they were talking about how one of the major costs with most organizations are healthcare costs, right? Like for GLP-1s and those different things from their health insurance providers. And one of the things that he was talking about is most organizations don't recognize that financial health impacts mental health. And so how our employees are feeling, or like the need that your employee has of like, hey, if they have to take days off, but they don't have any PTO, kind of bringing that up and be like, hey, are you guys going to be okay? Or can we work out something or do some things? Those are conversations you can have with them to help make sure that they do see seen, they are felt, and they are seen with the challenges they're going through, right? When you had that conversation with them, how did that employee react when you're asking them, or you're saying congratulations, and how they felt and all of that stuff?
He said I should talk to you earlier. I've been worried about this. I'm like, I haven't taken any days off. I'm trying to accrue my PTO. So exactly what you said. But it's also the infrastructure of the company. How do you make sure that people know that it's okay to ask for help?
Yeah. So how do you foster that? How do you make sure that this employee wants to ask for help? Or how do you make sure other employees feel confident in bringing this up before 3-4 days in advance, like what we're at right now?
Yeah, so I think he also had a little surprise because she had some complications, which was the inducement. But I talked to the team. I've onboarded all of them. I tell them I'm always available, reach out to me. And when they reach out, guess what? I'm always available and I take the time. And a lot of people do the lip service, but they don't implement those actions, which is how you lose that trust in the company.
Yeah, because you are, like you said, like the number one reason why people leave are their supervisors, right? And so if we say one thing and don't do the other thing, then it kind of impacts. So 100%. I feel that. So other than having one-to-one conversations, other than having breakfast together, and you said lunch as well is what you guys do. So what type of cultural or engagement initiatives are you excited to be implementing this year or this quarter? Or what are you excited about most for employee engagement right now?
Absolutely. Well, we have 15 interns that are going to start June 1st. And it is an entire, oh yes, it's a whole company wide. And we're going to have every department have like a little 30-45 minute conversation with the interns. What do they do? How do they interact? So that they can really understand the fundamentals of our organization. It's professional development. So we do weekly trainings for them to actually like practice active listening skills and some of the fundamentals that school doesn't teach us.
Don't even get me started on that. That's going to be a whole nother podcast.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. So We also do personal development, goal setting. So the interns actually have two personal and two professional goals. Because again, we're whole people. You can't
Love that.
just be focused on work because work takes what, 80% of our time. You have to also think about the personal development of, exercise. You mentioned mental health. I'm very proud of eMed. We have Recuro, which is zero copay, unlimited psychiatry, counseling, and therapy services for all
That's
of our
amazing.
benefit eligible team members. So that's huge. And mental health is so fundamental because it's not if something's going to happen, it's when. My dad just had knee surgery April 2nd. And, my team has been fantastic because they're like, we're here for you, etc. But sometimes you need a professional to talk to just to be able to have that professional advice.
Yeah, I feel that on a spiritual level. Without diving into too many details, we experienced some challenges in our family about 6 weeks ago. And it's been a difficult navigation as we're dealing with what our new normal looks like. And
Yes.
there's a lot of strength and comfort that comes from being able to talk to somebody who is a professional, not just because there's anything drastically different with them, but just the confidence. I think the confidence that permeates from somebody who is a professional that is able to do that, right? Versus just talking to our neighbor. And they also are dealing with their own garbage and their own challenges and their own issues. They're there for us, but they're not at the same capacity of providing tools that we can leverage to help improve our current situation, right?
I couldn't agree more, Trey. And just adding one tidbit, they also don't have their own agenda behind it. Because if you go to your mom or your family member, they are trying to do what they feel is best for you. And sometimes
Yes.
that's in direct conflict to what you would like to do for you.
Yeah, exactly. Which is crazy, right? It's just crazy. So tying into that, so you've got some great systems in place there at eMed, which are fantastic and fabulous. So let's think about what are additional things that HR leaders, let's say we're speaking to an HR leader and she's a team of one at a startup and she's balancing also being an ops manager, being a front office admin and the HR manager, onboarding, recruiting, interviewing, all of that type of stuff. And she doesn't have a massive budget to do these types of things. What are some ways that she can lean into, or what have you seen be successful and impactful for employees, additional ways for appreciation or recognition for these employees?
100%. So I have a litany. So we'll make a list. Discount programs, workingadvantage.com. Absolutely free to sign up. Arthritis at Work, so the Arthritis Foundation will actually create for free a website for your company with your logo that you can provide for your team members because we're all on those computers and we're all going to get impacted one day. We also have connections with nonprofits. Like in the state of Florida, they have, I think it's called the Shine program, but it's a free retiree or individuals going into retirement service. And all you have to do, and you mentioned AI, you can use Claude, you can use ChatGPT and say, what are free or discounted services I can provide to my team? And then what I do is we have a Google chat, which is absolutely free. And
Yeah.
I do little benefit spotlights. We have a Brightline. I called them. I'm like, can we have a discount? This is our employee size. This is our projected utilization. And we have that. But even those little things that it just helps the team members. Also, we talked a lot about people's needs. Reasonable accommodations are required legally by the Americans with Disabilities Act. And you can actually utilize that to create processes so people have different venues and avenues to get support. But there's so much out there. And even if it's, when I was at HSS, we had a floating holiday and it was one day. You could take any time throughout the year. And most people took off their birthdays, but it was a nominal expense that had such a empowering impact because it was their day to do what they wanted.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like the industriousness behind what you're talking about more than the different things. Like, I think there's a lot of power behind doing the research and finding and recognizing that there's so many opportunities out there to find free and effective ways to recognize and show appreciation to employees that you don't need to pay $10,000 to a vendor just to get set up or something like that. There's ways to incentivize, motivate, retain, recognize employees in all different facets of their life to where they feel impacted and they feel taken care of, they feel grateful, right? I always joke, it's like, I remember the random little odd things that I got from the companies I've worked for more than like the swag items, right? Like if it was like a small book that a boss got for me, or I saved up and got a backpack or something. Like I remember those things more than anything that was branded with the company logo because it was personally applicable to me. Now, sometimes that's not possible at scale for a lot of organizations to be able to do that on a one-to-one basis with their employees. But in the startup phase, when you're like less than 25, 30 employees, it's possible. But as you start growing to your stage, it's getting harder and harder to know the intimate details of all 100 plus employees that you're taking care of, especially as you continue to grow, right? What do you feel like is one thing that employers should stop doing as we're getting into this digital age to try to recognize or to appreciate employees? What should they stop doing?
Stop doing? That is a great question. I think the generic things don't really resonate, like you were saying. Like everyone could use a t-shirt, that's fun, right? But like something that's meaningful to them is really important. Like I always think personalization is the most important. So one year for Employee Appreciation Day, I literally bought from Staples like a little green cards, and I did a mail merge and hand delivered a chocolate with the card at everyone's desk. It took maybe an hour. It's basic, yeah. It's easy, but can I tell you, some people still have that card.
That's amazing. And I think the personal touch, right, as well, it was, yep. You went out of your way to do something different that had personal touches with the chocolate, with that. I always joke with people because obviously I work in employee recognition and appreciation and gifting opportunities. And a lot of people think we're just a swag vendor. And I'm like, no, we're not a swag vendor. What we do is we pass a lot of that flexibility and autonomy to your employees to be able to choose exactly what they want, that's most meaningful to them. I met with a leader, and during COVID, they got this work from home allowance that they could use to help because they were now all working from home. They could buy power strips and different extra cords, HDMI cords, things that they needed to do their business with. But in that same time, her basement flooded. And it wasn't like water flood, it was like sewage flood. And they used every single towel in their entire home to try to clean it all up, so they had no towels. And so her leader found out about this, and she said, hey, instead of doing that, go get some towels, go get whatever you guys need. You're gonna get your work from home stipend. That's exactly what this is for. And she's like, I still think about that years from now because my leader saw the challenge I was going through, and it's impacted her in such different ways. And now when she works with her team, she tries to think back on this situation. And what you're saying, Nurdes, is exactly the same process. Like just going just a little bit. People crave, as much as this world is digital, we crave one-to-one interpersonal communication, right?
Yep. And kindness is priceless. It stays with you.
It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you anything to be kind.
Nothing.
And I think you have the amazing opportunity to be the person that shows kindness and starts with kindness, being in the HR seat, which I know sometimes is a lonely seat. I talk with enough HR leaders to do that. So I'm curious, as we're kind of wrapping up, what do you do that helps refill your bucket when it comes to going through those hard and challenging days? How do you show your self-appreciation and recognition when you're going through those challenges?
Absolutely. So I am an avid walker. I walk over 100 miles a month, and I track it. Yes, I love it.
Okay.
Yes, I absolutely love it. I love nature. I'm based out of Miami. We have Zoo Miami, which I was at yesterday, actually, for my dad's birthday. You have to take the time. Had no less than 3 meetings and multiple phone calls, text messages, and emails all day, including an offer that I sent out. But I was at the zoo doing it, which was a nice treat for my dad.
Yeah.
So it's part of life, right? I'm an HR of one currently, so if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. And I recognize and understand that my job is to help other people to be able to get their jobs done.
And I think that's great. So getting out in nature, doing the things that give you joy, going on your walks. Looks like we got to have another episode. Notice we need to talk about school and we need to talk about how you get 100 miles in. That's incredible. That is
Thank you.
fantastic. I'm like trying to calculate how many miles I go in a month and I'm like nowhere even close. That's incredible. Kudos to you on all of that. Thank you for being an empowered leader and an impactful leader in your organization, all the ones that you've been in. I know a lot of people are going to benefit from this podcast with the insights and the perspective that you gave of being a human. Where's the best place for people to find you or to connect with you if they have questions of how to deal with going from a very stable organization and jumping into a startup? Where can they find you to ask questions and connect with you?
LinkedIn for sure, and I'm also a SHRM National Mentor. So I sign up for the mentor program every quarter with Collabs and Daniel. It's a free program, and it's Society for Human Resource Management, and
Yeah.
it's a great way to be able to give back and to support because HR is a lonely business, and there's so many best practices out there if we just share them.
Yes, 100%. I love that. I'll make sure to include a link to your LinkedIn in the show notes here. And I hope you have a good rest of your day and a good weekend ahead. All right.
You too, Trey.
Great chatting
Thanks
with
so
you. Have a
much.
great day, everybody.